Well, here now is Martha Miller, Deputy Executive Director at the National Security Institute at George Mason University Law School. Martha, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So we have an Axios report that U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff is going to be meeting now with Israeli Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer and a senior Qatari envoy. Multiple sources on the ground telling our NewsNation's Robert Sherman that Dermer is a closer, so to speak. And now we have reports Israel is calling Hamas's latest ceasefire proposal, quote unquote, workable. What are your thoughts on a timeline for when a potential deal may be done? And what conditions do you believe will be the biggest sticking points?
Yeah, so, I think there are a lot of signs right now that this is a very, likely a very productive meeting. It's taking place in Rome, which is more than just optics. It's a new venue, demonstrates a fresh start and the negotiations. And certainly Ron Dermer's presence, that does tend to be the case, that he is viewed as the closer. And so, his track record speaks for itself. In Israeli political circles, when he shows up, deals are not just discussed, but they get done. And so, I think it's also been, I think I'd like to point out that this is happening thanks to, serious pressure that's been put on Hamas and sustained pressure as well. But we also need the Qataris to step up. They're not just a facilitator. They actually can put pressure on Hamas. So look, it's delicate still, even though these signs are demonstrating that there's a likelihood of a deal. We also know that this has been dragging out for a really long time. So I think we're just going to have to watch this weekend and see, how does it go? Will Hamas cooperate? The idea that they still have 50 hostages is still kind of astounding. And I think there, as I understand it, 23 are believed to be alive, 27 presumed dead. And, I think the Israeli government is also, under some domestic pressure to bring everyone home. So, if it moves, maybe it'll move quickly. I think it's still really hard to say, what the timeline would be, but there does seem to be all indications of a true concerted effort on all parties.
Well, we know, Netanyahu's vowed to bring all the hostages home. Hamas has previously conditioned their release on Israel withdrawing from Gaza, and that's something Israel hasn't accepted. So the hostages right now, arguably the only major bargaining chip of Hamas. What developments are you anticipating? Do you think we may see all of those hostages returned in a deal like this? We've got about a minute left.
I think it's likely that we could achieve, getting the 10. I don't think that we'll see 50 being returned. Hamas is really going to cling on to that just as strongly as the Israelis are going to cling to, being in Gaza. I think it's definitely, there's certainly potential for this to be decisive yet, maybe a first serious step in the right direction.
Even if a truce is reached, Netanyahu's promise to continue the fighting if necessary, if Hamas isn't destroyed, that was another major factor, a major promise he's made. We know President Trump wants to resolve all of this, wants it to evolve into a long-term peace agreement. What do you think the likelihood is of something like that to happen?
I think it's going to be difficult. Clearly, Hamas, is not just a menace to its own people. Hamas has been a menace to Israel. It's been a proxy for the Iranians. I think we're all, from the United States point of view, this is, we have seen Hamas weakened severely, but from the Israeli point of view, there's an existential threat. As long as Hamas is there, they are under a threat of attack from this terrorist organization that is, sadly also, mistreating the people and the Palestinians.
All right, Martha Miller, we appreciate your insights this morning. Thank you for joining us.